Hi kids, welcome back today. Today we're going to be reading chapter 25 and Because of Winn-Dixie. If you'll remember yesterday, Winn-Dixie ran away and Opal and her daddy, the preacher, went around the whole town looking for him, but they didn't find him. And we realized two things. We realized that the preacher loves Winn-Dixie just as much as Opal does. And we realized that the preacher thinks that Opal's mama is never coming back. Today, in Chapter 5, we're going to get the falling action of our story, which is the part of the story where the climax, the most exciting part, is over, and we're about to get to our resolution, which is where the problem of our story that is represented is solved. All right, Chapter 25, Because of Winn-Dixie. We heard the music before we even got to Gloria Dumb's house. We heard it almost a block away. It was guitar playing and singing and clapping. "I wonder what's going on," my father said. We walked up Gloria's sidewalk and around back, through her yard and into the kitchen. And what we saw was Otis playing his guitar, and Miss Franny and Gloria sitting there smiling and singing, and Gloria holding Sweetie Pie in her lap. Amanda and Dunlap and Stevie were sitting on the kitchen floor, clapping along and having the best possible time. Even Amanda was smiling. I couldn't believe they were so happy when Winn-Dixie was missing. "We didn't find him!" I shouted at them. The music stopped and Gloria Dump looked at me and said, "Child, we know you didn't find him. You didn't find him because he was right here all along." She took her cane and poked at something under her chair. "Come on out up here," she said. There was a snuffle and a sigh. "He's asleep," she said. "He's plumb wore out." She poked around with her cane again, and Winn-Dixie stood up from underneath her chair and yawned. "Winn-Dixie!" I hollered. "Dog!" Gertrude squawked. Winn-Dixie wagged his tail and showed me all of his teeth and sneezed. I went pushing past everybody. I dropped to the floor and wrapped my arms around him. "Where have you been?" I asked him. He yawned again. "How did you find him?" I asked. "Now there's a story," said Miss Franny. "Gloria, why don't you tell it?" "Well," said Gloria Dumb, "we was all sitting around waiting on you two, and after I convinced these Dewberry boys that I ain't no scary witch all full of spells and potions." "She ain't no witch," Stevie said. He shook his bald head. He looked kind of disappointed. "Ah," said Dunlap, "she ain't. If she was, she would have turned us into toads by now." He grinned. "I could have told you that she wasn't a witch. Witches don't exist," said Amanda. "They're just myths." "All right now," said Gloria. "What happened is that we got all the way through them witchy things, and then Franny said, 'Why don't we have a little music while we wait for you two to get back?' And so Otis played his guitar. And woo-wee, there ain't a song that he don't know. And if he don't know it, he can pick right up if you hum it to him. He has a gift." Gloria stopped and smiled over at Otis, and he smiled back. He looked all lit up from the inside. "Tell what happened," Sweetie Pie said. "Tell about that dog." "So," said Gloria, Franny and me, "we started thinking about all these songs we knew from when we was girls, and we got Otis to play them, and we started singing them, teaching the words to these children." "And then somebody sneezed," Sweetie Pie shouted. "That's right," said Gloria. "Somebody sneezed, and it wasn't none of us. So we looked around wondering who did, thinking that maybe we got us a burglar in the house. We looked around and we didn't see nothing, so we started into singing again, and sure enough, there was another big achoo, sounding like it was coming from my bedroom. So I sent Otis in there. I said, 'Otis, go in there and see who's sneezing.' So Otis went, and do you know what he found?" I shook my head. "Winn-Dixie!" shouted Sweetie Pie. "That dog of yours was all hid underneath my bed, squeezed under there like the whole world was about to end. But he was smiling like a fool every time he heard Otis play the guitar, smiling so hard that he sneezed." My daddy laughed. "It is true," Miss Franny said. "It's the truth," said Stevie. Dunlap nodded and smiled right at me. "So," Gloria Dumb said, "Otis played his guitar right to that dog, just a little bit at a time, when Dixie came creeping out from underneath the bed." "He was covered in dust," said Amanda. "He looked like a ghost," said Dunlap. "Yeah," said Sweetie Pie, "just like a ghost." "Mm-hmm," said Gloria, "looked just like a ghost." Anyway, the storm stopped after a while, and your dog settled in under my chair and fell asleep. And that's where he's been ever since, just waiting on you to come back and find him. Winn-Dixie, I said. I hugged him so tight he wheezed. We were out there whistling and calling for you, and you were right here all along. Thank you, I said to everybody. Well, said Gloria Dunn, we didn't do nothing. We just sat here and waited and sang some songs. We all got to be good friends. Now, the punch ain't nothing but water, and the egg salad sandwiches got tore up by the rain. You got to eat them with a spoon if you want egg salad, but we got pickles to eat and litmus lozenges, and we still got a party going on. My daddy pulled out a kitchen chair and sat down. Otis, he said, do you know any hymns? I know some, said Otis. You hum it, said Miss Franny, nodding her head, and he can play it. So my daddy started humming something, and Otis started picking it out on the guitar, and Winn-Dixie wagged his tail and lay back down underneath Gloria's chair. I looked around the room at all the different faces, and I felt my heart swell up inside me with pure happiness. I'll be back in a minute, I said. But they were all singing now and laughing, and Winn-Dixie was snoring, so no one heard me. All right, guys, we're almost at the end of our novel, but here's something I wanted to point out to you in our last chapter. Opal talks about seeing Otis like he was lit up from the inside, and then she talks about her heart swelling up. Now, we know that we use figurative language to describe people. When she says Otis was lit up from the inside, does she mean that Otis had lights coming out of his head, or that her heart swelled up? Did her heart really get bigger in her chest? No. Those are going to be figurative language similes and metaphors. Remember, a simile compares two things using like or as, and a metaphor says one thing is another. Here's what your job is today. I want you to go around your house, and I want you to see if you can use a simile, remember that compares two things using like or as, and a metaphor to describe somebody in your family and try to make them feel like they are lit up from the inside, or like their heart is swelling 3 sizes. All right. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you again tomorrow for the conclusion of Because of